Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Middle Complex here, and welcome to episode 55 of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are, I am a knife guy, knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are all knife guys and gals in this weird knife world. And we all go down our own unique paths, but we oftentimes, meet at intersections. These intersections represent common or shared experiences, and that's kind of what I like to talk about on this series, is all the little things that we more or less experience as a knife community. I like to lay out a bunch of knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers, and I like to just pick them up and look at them and flip them and talk about these things. And whether you're driving and listening, hopefully not watching if you're driving, or you're, doing chores, or you're actually just laying back on a Sunday, watching, I just want something to let you guys be entertained by. If this looks familiar, it's because I'm recording this back to back with the episode that I did about blade finishes. And I thought, I'm just going to leave all these out here and just go ahead and record Knife Guy. It's easier than putting them all away and then getting some back out and arranging them in a certain order. Whatever. I'm sure you guys don't mind, right? Blades are already out, so you guys get to look at them. So what are we talking about today? So, just so you guys know, I've realized that I really push with this series. I do it once a week, and I try to come up with a unique topic, and then I tell people, I'm like, sometimes these topics overlap because there's only so many things, there's so many sub conversations I can have about common topics. And I realized, why would I force that? I'm going to keep doing this series every single week, but some episodes might be the same topic with just more elaboration, right? Some might be totally and completely unique. And some might be a different thought that's based on another topic or overlapping topics, right? So basically what I'm saying is I make no promises. I like to talk. I like to do this series. There are a bunch of you who like to come back and watch it. So yeah, this series will continue, but just understand, if I'm going to do this every week, and if I have this channel for 5 years, think about how many different Knife Guy episodes that would be. It would be impossible, right? So today, a semi-unique topic, and one that I think most of you can relate with. Let's talk about what I call the honeymoon phase with a folding knife. Real quick here, thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, get your hands on one of these cool stickers or both. There is, of course, a link down in the description. You can check out my Patreon and some of the other exclusive benefits if you'd like. Your support would mean the world to me. Many of you guys know also I'm a Blade HQ and GP Knives affiliate, so if you guys want to, there are links down in the description for that as well. Anyways, so yeah, the honeymoon phase with a folding knife, and I think most of you understand what I'm talking about right away, whether you've heard the term or not. When you buy a new knife, or at least let me say me, when I buy a new knife, right, if I plan to use it, let's talk about this in the light of if you plan to use it. What's a great example here? This one. My Para 3 Maximate. This was given to me by my wife, right? Now, if I had purchased this for myself, whether or not I decided to use it would likely have come after. I'm primarily an enthusiast and a collector, but I do use my knives. Most of my knives get used, right? Being this person that I am, I will probably not decide 100% whether or not I'm going to use the knife. Whatever your thought is when you buy it, a lot of times I look at a knife and I go, yeah, I'm going to buy that, but I'm never going to use it. Or, that would be a great user. I'm going to go ahead and buy that. And then subconsciously, I'm like, I'll decide whether or not I'm going to use it after I get it in hand. Let's see how much I love it first for its aesthetic flow and its ergonomics and the general feel. Let's check out the fidget factor, all of these little tiny things, right? Then I get the knife in hand. And so I'm saying if I'd bought that knife for myself, the process would have been a little bit different. But this knife was purchased for me as a surprise. I was actually telling my wife, I was like, I really want to try this Maximate steel, but everything's in FRN, and I don't want FRN, and Spyderco is the only company who's offering it. And then I just didn't look that much into it. And so she, the thing that we do is every year for our anniversary, my wife buys me a knife. She picks it. I can't give any input, right? She just picks up on little things that I talk, because I'm constantly, I mean, believe it or not, even off camera, guys, I'm still talking like all the time about knives. So she picks up on this stuff, and she's a great listener, so she chooses a knife for me every year, and it's awesome, and she always picks something really great. And this last time she chose the Spyderco Para 3 in Maximate because it was in G10 and Maximate. Now, I knew when I first opened this, I thought this is great because this is a gift from my wife, which means I will never, ever, ever sell it, which means I might as well go ahead and use it, right? And I mean, hey, it's a Para 3 in G10 and Maximate. This thing screams user, right? There was still honeymoon phase. And for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, the honeymoon phase is the phase that you go through with a new knife where you know you're going to use it, right? You know that it's going to, and I don't mean the term honeymoon phase as, like, offensively, whether you are male or female and you're talking about your male or female spouse, right? I'm not suggesting that the honeymoon is the time period where you don't use or abuse your spouse. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But we're talking about knives, right? So you go through this phase with the knife where it's this precious thing. And, you know, you're going to use it, but you're just not ready to put a scratch on it. You're just not ready to get it gunked up with pocket lint or dirt. You're not ready to screw up that edge, right? You just want to carry it and have it and hold it and experience it and take in all of the fine little details, all of the little things that make you love this knife. That's what you want to do with it, right? Is that wrong? Is that right? Is that cringy? Eye roll? I mean, it depends on which part of the knife community you come from, but I don't really care what anybody thinks about what I do with my knives, right? I mean, I'm not the type of person to say, I don't care what anybody thinks. We all care a little bit about what other people think. I think that's what makes us human, right? Some of us are more or less callous, you know, in any social setting, but I don't care if people judge me for what I do or don't use my knives for, right? I still care that I still want you guys to like me as a knife guy and a knife channel, right? I mean, obviously I have to care about that. But what people, you know, whether or not people, you know, agree with what I do with my knives, I don't really care. Because it's right. It's just like it's your money, it's my money. We spend our hard-earned money on what we want for the reasons that we want. That's our own business. So for me, as somebody who does use some of his knives or most of his knives, yeah, I have a honeymoon phase. And oftentimes, you know, I am making, now here's the part that should relate to everybody. I don't care who you are. At least 1%, I brought this up in another episode, at least 0.0001% of your mind will choose a knife based on aesthetics, right? If you're the type of person that's like, nope, I buy a tool and I use that same tool for 10 years until it disintegrates into powder, right? So I don't look for, you know, aesthetics in any way. I choose the most optimal materials for exactly what I'm going to use it for, the most optimal edge geometry, the most optimal steel, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If there's one optimal knife and that knife only comes in one design, in that case, yeah, I believe you, right? If you have worked all of this out in your head. However, most knives come in multiple aesthetic forms. Case in point, you've got, let's just call it the knife, right? The knife that you have decided is exactly the right thing for you. Everything, every last little thing considered. And I understand people are like, well, this is kind of a crazy situation because there's actually, you know, there's no such thing as one ideal knife. It would be multiple knives that would be used for, you know, exactly the right task. Yeah, I get that, but bear with me in this hypothetical situation. We are talking about a person who has decided that the knife is exactly the right knife for that person, right? And they have a choice between the knife with a blue handle and the knife with a red handle. Those are the only two ones they come in. Even if you say to yourself out loud, I don't really care, and you just reach for one, subconsciously, I know other people want to say, well, what if you can't see? Okay, well, if you can't, then I suppose that's fine. Then they really have no, you know, aesthetic, there's nothing there that's motivating them in terms of aesthetics. But if you have a choice between a red and a blue knife, it means that a small part of your subconscious will help you make that decision. You reach for the blue, it means subconsciously you like blue a little bit better. Which means you do care at least a tiny little bit for that. And there is a small, maybe for you, it is much, 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 much smaller. For me, on average, the honeymoon phase is like 2 weeks. Maybe for this person, they're like, whatever, they reach for the blue one. and they immediately go outside and use it. But there's maybe a microscopic hesitation on the first cut where they're like, ooh, goodbye, perfect, brand new, shiny aesthetic, because here we go, right? That's the honeymoon phase for you. Even if it's 1 second, the honeymoon phase exists. And I orchestrated that to force my point, right? I'm like, here, let me create this incredibly specific circumstance so that I can apply it to as many people as possible and justify what I'm talking about. I know, I mean, there are definitely people out there who are like, no, I really do just pick a knife and just use it, you know, and that's fine. But yeah, for a lot of us, this honeymoon thing exists. And I think oftentimes it corresponds, and this is a major overlapping thing that I'm going to say in terms of other Knife Guy episodes. It really does correspond with how much money you spend, right? Here comes another vehicle analogy. In fact, it's not even a unique one. Anybody who buys a brand new vehicle, whether it is a brand new to you vehicle that is actually just a used vehicle, or it is actually a brand new vehicle, there is a certain amount of time where you're a little bit hesitant to drive it on a rainy day, right? If it's Saturday and you're at home and it's raining and the vehicle's in the garage, right? If you own a garage and you just cleaned it and it's like, oh no, we need, we're out of shredded cheese or whatever, right? You're like, you know what? Screw the cheese today because I just washed the car or the truck and we just bought it, right? I don't want to drive it in the rain. Rain's not really going to hurt it. Neither is the mud, right? And it's a vehicle. It's meant to be driven on the road, right? And in inclement weather. Well, inclement. Not into a tornado, obviously, but, on a rainy day, sure. But you're going to get all dirty and muddy and you just cleaned it and it's brand new, right? So you don't want to do it. That would be the honeymoon phase for the new vehicle because after a while, you're like, whatever, it's like flooding and there's debris flying everywhere because it's right before a thunderstorm, and you're like, I am not going without shredded cheddar cheese today. You don't care, right? Because you've been driving it. Honeymoon phase. If not with knives, people do it with other things. But yeah, for me, for sure. And the more that I spend on a knife, I think the longer and more intense that honeymoon phase is. My Hinder knives, for example, like here's an example of a knife that I don't use, and I know people are like, oh my gosh, you have that XM24 and it's, this big like hulking thing that's made to be, used and beat on, and it's in 20 CV and it's in the Stonewash DLC and it's a titanium frame log and blah, 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 blah. And you're not going to use it? Yeah, no, because I don't want to. But I have, out of the other however many Hinders that I've owned, I've had multiple Hinder users. But every time that I picked one up, whether it was used or it was brand new, and I knew I was like, I'm going to use this one, there was still a long honeymoon phase where I just wanted to, I think it's because I want to be aware of every last little feature of the knife and how well it was done. Right? No matter how consistent the maker is, there's always the potential for minor imperfections. And I think the funny thing is that I actively seek out these minor imperfections subconsciously to speed up the honeymoon phase, but I don't like finding them. I want it to be perfect partially because I want to enjoy and relish the honeymoon phase, right? I want to enjoy the part with it's just so perfect and all of these little design features and engineering, whatever, are just further, in my eyes, exemplified by the fact that it is brand new and functioning arguably as good as it ever will. Because after you start using it, aside from time, the thing that destroys everything, it will never be in as good of condition as it is during the honeymoon phase, ever again. You can sharpen it, clean it up. You can take it apart and clean it. And some people say, no, I can make it work better, right? Technically, if it's perfectly made right out of the factory, the person who knows best about how that knife is supposed to operate is the original maker and designer or manufacturer, or the combination of all three, which means, and still arguably, that it's never going to be as perfect unless, it's got imperfections from the factory, but it's never going to be as perfect as it is when you have it brand new. And that's why there's probably people watching this who just purchased a knife and are so excited to take it out and use it. And they're like, no, I don't want to use it. People tell me that all the time. They're like, I thought one way and I was really enjoying thinking that way until you brought this to my attention. And now I'm like, geez, my whole world is turned upside down. Sorry if I did that to you. But yeah, I think it totally corresponds with how much money you spent. Or if it's a limited knife, right? A lot of people like to buy limited knives or sprint runs with the idea of using them because it brings them joy. The idea of taking something that is built as a user, has the right materials, but it's in very limited supply, and then going ahead and using it anyway, right? You're kind of feel like a rebel. You're like, yeah, whatever, man. It's cool. I got my red Para 3 and M390, or my red PM2 and M390. I use it, whatever, right? I get that. Totally. Would I do it? Probably not, because I'm weak in that department. But yeah, if you buy a limited edition or something with some special variant, right? Maybe it's just produced less, continuously produced, but produced less. Or it's a version that, right, you got the standard version, like Riot and Wii and Civivi do this. You got the standard one, and then you got the Damasteel one, or the Damascus one, or it's got a Damascus pocket clip, right? And you're like, I want to use this. I bought it because it's special and it's cool, and the enthusiast in me really loves it for the uniqueness, but I feel okay about using it because I know they're going to keep making more. But the fact that it is what it is makes me a little bit more reluctant to use it. Yeah, for sure. Or sometimes, like, you know, in the case of like a Medford knife, they do the Vulcan thing, right? And the Vulcan process is something they will always do, as far as I'm aware. But every Vulcan finish is unique, and maybe you end up one, you know, some type of randomized process or randomized finish that's applied to the knife, and you get it, and it's like substantially better than you thought it was going to be, or it has this physical presence when you get a hold of it, and you're like, I wasn't expecting to be so emotionally affected by the knife, right? And now that I am, I'm second guessing how long I should go without using it. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the fear of having to resharpen an edge. For example, somebody who is a pure user, right? Coming into the knife hobby, and you have experienced basically your budget G10 and D2 blades, which are fantastic, right? Case in point, Civivi Praxis. I just recently cleaned this up, but I got no problem using it, right? And a lot of people who are users are like, this is what I'm used to, but I'm interested in spending a little bit more money and experiencing something in the realm of what a lot of people in the knife community consider higher quality. But I'm a little bit nervous about some of these higher end steels like M390, right? Sounds excellent. Sounds like it would be a lot of fun to use and experience, but when it comes time to sharpen it, I have no experience. And I paid a lot of money for it, so, you know, I'm a little reluctant to really get that blade in the dirty, you know, stuff. What if I hit a rock? What if I hit a staple, right? That can extend the honeymoon phase as well. Absolutely. There's a lot of different things. The important thing to remember is that if you know exactly what I'm talking about, and maybe you're experiencing it right now. I know a lot of you guys watch this, you listen, and you flip your knives, right? And a lot of you are flipping knives, and you're in the honeymoon phase right now, and you're aware of this. The important thing to remember is that there's no reason to be ashamed of it. You bought the knife. You know, whether you have other knives you can use or you don't, what you use that knife for and when you decide to use that knife for those things is completely up to you. And it sounds like something that should be obvious, but a lot of times I'm sitting and thinking like, wait a minute, I don't have to do this with this because I'm in control of this, because I'm an individual and this is mine, this is my property, I paid for it, I can do whatever I want. In a lot of ways, that, dare I say, revelation, I don't know if it's really worthy of that word, that can be a really freeing feeling. It can be freeing to finally use the knife for the first time and go, hey, great, now I can just use it and whatever. And there's definitely a totally different level of enjoyment that you get out of that. But the idea that you don't have to rush it, right? That you're missing out on something, right? I mean, take your time with it, right? You bought it, you're enjoying it. Take the time, enjoy it, you know, in the phase that it's in right now for however long you want. And then, you know, when you get to the part where you start to use it, then you can enjoy it for an entirely different reason. But yeah, honeymoon phase is real, it's powerful, and there's no reason to rush it. Oh man, guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it for today's episode of The Knife Guy. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.